Hey guys, welcome to GCT, where I read out the best stories on Reddit, so you don't have to. The funny, shocking, and satisfyingly juicy. Today, we have some wholesome romantic stories for Valentine's Day. Today I effed up by telling my friend loudly that the guy I like could F me in the butt. Posted by, lol, why am I so dumb, shaking my head. 2 months ago, I effed up. I, 19 female, was infatuated with this super cute guy, 21 male, who came in and guest lectured for one of my classes. I did some light stalking after the lecture and found out that he has a blog, and it was one of the most wholesome, funny things that I've read for a while. He's a total nerd, and I'm so into that. One time, I was studying in the library, and he took a seat near mine, so I struck up a conversation with him, and it went so great. We talked for hours and I got no work done. Anyway, I work in a research lab on campus part-time. This past week, my PI was out on vacation, but my mentor had full access to the lab, so I was free to do my experiments unbothered. One of my close friends also works in the same lab, so we've been having a blast just hanging out in a basically empty lab. We decided to go out into the hallway just to chill for a bit and eat some snacks. One of the doors to another lab that was standing close to was open, but we didn't think too much of it since the entire floor was really deserted. Basically, everyone was still on holiday. We were talking about this guy she's seeing when she asked me if anything new happened between me and the awkward guy who guest lectured. I told her about what happened in the library, and she started drilling me about his facial expressions and how close he was sitting to analyze if he was into me. We were saying things like, I feel like at least one time his eyes dropped down to my lips. Or, did he stare at you for longer than 5.7 seconds? Because if he did, it means for sure he wants to F you. It was all just for the lols. Then, me being as crass and unfiltered as I am, went and said, I'd even let him F me in the butt if he wanted to. And we both burst out into laughter. Disclaimer, I was kidding. Then, out of nowhere, I hear footsteps coming out of the open door next to me, and both me and my friend whip around to look. Lo and behold, the guy I like walks out of the door with a barely concealed, shocked look on his face and says, Hey guys, you might want to keep it down a little bit. Then he effing winked at me and went back inside, but left the door open. I was so effing mortified! I didn't come back to the lab until winter break was over, hoping that the large influx of people would somehow prevent me from ever seeing him again. That didn't happen. On my first day back, I was in the break room making some toast when he walks in. Oh no! Knowing that a confrontation was probably inevitable, I thought I ought to apologize for my crass comment. But instead, I frantically looked away and focused on putting peanut butter on my toast because if I do that, he can't see me, right? That didn't happen. Instead, he came right up next to me, smiled and said, Hey OP, how's your break? I looked up awkwardly and said, It was fine. I mainly just stayed on campus and worked in the lab. He told me that he basically did the same, but went to see his family for a couple of days. He didn't bring up what happened either. Thank God. Then he asked, Is that all you're having for lunch? And I was like, yeah, I was in a rush and I forgot to pack something. Then he said, Oh, I was going to grab something to eat at a sandwich place near us. Do you want to come with? I was like, what the F? That's smooth ever. I tried not reading into it and brushed it off as him being nice, so I said sure, and we went. Well, we ended up having a great lunch. As we were on our way back, he finally made a crack and was like, So tell me, after our lunch today, how many seconds do you think I spent staring at you? I literally just looked at him blankly with my jaw dropped before he chuckled. It has to be longer than 6 seconds at a time, right? That has to mean I like you, right? Even with my shock, I managed to laugh and make a wisecrack back at him. Well, tomorrow is our 1-month anniversary. And no, we have not done the butt stuff. He told me after a couple of weeks that although he appreciated my comment, he's not into putting his dick into buttholes. Looks like I'll be retaining my butt virginity. I managed to get a super cute, intelligent, and kind boyfriend out of this whole ordeal. All my friends think that my, 22 male, girlfriend 21 female, is creepy. Are they right? Posted by Administrative Gift 58. Hi Reddit. I, 22 male, started dating my girlfriend, let's call her Alice, 21 female, about 7 months ago. We met while working on a group project for one of our college classes. From the moment I met her, I felt an instant connection. She was beautiful, smart, and we shared a bunch of common interests. Long story short, we flirted for a few weeks before I finally asked her out, and we've been happily going out since. Now, here comes the problem. About a month ago, my friends and I were planning a hangout, and I invited Alice. While me and Alice are from the same hometown, we met during college, and a majority of our relationship has been during the school year. While we know each other's college friends, we've never met each other's hometown friends. I know that Alice has really bad social anxiety, so I was hesitant to invite her at first, but when I did ask, she seemed nervous, but really excited. The party seemed to go really well. Alice was smiling and laughing the whole time, and even got to go on a rant about a topic she really liked. When it was over, she even told me while I was driving her home how much she liked my friends. And when I asked my friends what they thought of Alice, they all said she seemed nice. All except for my best friend, Ruben, 22 male. When I asked him, he told me that he hated her. I immediately questioned why, hoping it was just them not mixing well, as I can acknowledge that Ruben and Alice are complete opposites when it comes to interests and personality. But Ruben told me he hated her because of how creepy she is, and I was better off dumping her. Now, this threw me off, as I've never once considered Alice creepy. She's actually the cutest girl I've ever met, and I've never felt more comfortable around anyone as I do around her. Before I could even ask what he meant, he went off on a rant about how uncomfortable she made him, and started citing stories I told him about our dates during college. Stuff like how she'd stare at me without saying anything, and just enjoyed looking at me. Or how she'd eat the same meals whenever we went to dinner. How unjealous she was when a girl came up and flirted with me. Or about her deep knowledge of poisons and her love for murder mysteries and true crime. Both of which she could talk about for hours, but neither of which she actually talked about at the party. He said that while he wrote them off before, since they didn't seem to bother me, which they don't, but after meeting her in person and seeing how weird and flighty she was, he can tell she's a secret psycho and will end up breaking my heart or physically hurting me. I tried to explain to him how any weirdness was probably just because she was nervous about meeting them all for the first time. But he insisted that we've had friends' partners have anxiety before, and it was just that she was plain weird. I blew him off at first because he sounded effing crazy. Alice isn't perfect, but she's far from creepy. But after 2 weeks of him telling me to dump her, and me getting tired of telling him to drop it, I reached out to a few of my friends to prove him wrong. But, to my surprise, they all agreed that Alice was creepy. Most of them said that the way she spoke really threw them off. Which is fair, since Alice can be weirdly formal sometimes, but I didn't notice her doing that at the party at all, and typically it's more funny than unsettling. Most of my friends told me it wasn't enough to break up with her, since they still found her genuinely sweet and fun to be around. But I did have one other friend say it was worth breaking up over, and he was just too embarrassed to tell me at first. I have no plans of breaking up with Alice, because all the stuff they're calling creepy, I find cute when she does. But are they right? Is it creepy that she does that stuff? Should I talk to her about it? Should I just tell my friends to F off and ignore their concerns? I feel bad for even questioning her about this. With all my friends agreeing, it's starting to gnaw at me. And I just need some clarification if it's actually creepy or if they're just being dramatic. Update. Wow, thank you all so much for your helpful comments and validation. I'm glad you all agree that the stuff Alice is doing wasn't actually creepy. Anyway, to get to the meat of this update, since I posted originally, I spoke with each of my friends individually and talked to them about what they said. Pretty much all of them apologized, and some even offered to apologize to Alice herself, which at the time I said no to, since I didn't really want them interacting with her, but we'll get back to that later. The only one who didn't apologize, and I'm pretty sure you guessed, was Ruben. I want to address some comments suggesting that Ruben could either be attracted to me or maybe even Alice. I don't think either of those are true, as Alice is the first girlfriend that Ruben has ever acted like this with, even though I've dated plenty of girls, and Alice isn't really his usual type. He may still be attracted to her, I mean, she is effing gorgeous, but I've known the guy since 3rd grade, so I know he's pretty picky about the girls he's with. So I don't think that's it. I think he's just a major dick. I've known Ruben literally my whole life, since our mums were college friends and moved close to each other when we were young. With so much history, I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt by just asking him to drop it, since I didn't really care that he found her creepy. I really liked her, and he just had to deal with it if he wanted to continue being friends. He didn't apologize, or even say he was wrong, but he did agree to stop commenting on it, which isn't perfect, but works for now. I'll consider if I really want to continue being friends with him. Yesterday, I met up with Alice for a casual date. It wasn't anything fancy, just a home picnic. I have a really bad allergy, so we couldn't do it outside. I had some candles and our favourite foods, and we watched movies and dissected our favourite tropes. About halfway through our movie, Alice brought up Ruben, since she heard about an upcoming car show / auction that her dad told her about, and she remembered me saying that he loved vintage cars, and suggested that the 3 of us, plus a friend of hers who's also into cars, go together so she could get to know him better. It felt crazy that she suggested this days after mine and Ruben's fight, and it made me feel sick with how sweet she was while he was being such a jerk. I gave some weak excuses about how she hates car shows and doesn't have to do that, or how Ruben wouldn't be comfortable doing that. My girlfriend, being the angel that she is, said that she could tough through it, or even just let me and Ruben go together if he wasn't comfortable with her yet, and should even pay for the tickets because it was a private showing. This was the point I broke, and I told her everything that happened. She took it really well, just calmly listening while I rambled through my explanation, and even ended up apologizing to me about weirding out my friends. I tried to explain it wasn't her fault and she didn't need to apologize. As a lot of you suspected, she ended up telling me about how she believed she was autistic, but since she hasn't gotten the official diagnosis, she wasn't comfortable telling people. After a lot of guilty back and forth between the 2 of us, she told me she didn't want me cutting off my friends, since they did apologize and didn't say anything cruel, just pointed out her neurodivergent tendencies, which aren't an insult to her. But I put my foot down that I sure wasn't bringing her around Ruben anymore, and planned to distance myself from him and my other friend for the time being, which she agreed was fair. She also wants to meet up with my friends who want to apologize to her, since they did seem genuine in their regret. Overall, things turned out pretty well, and thank you all so much for your input. Eating the same meal does not mean that someone's secretly a psycho. In fact, most psychopaths are actually extremely charismatic. This girl seems like such a gem, and I'm glad OP didn't let Ruben's prejudices destroy what they have. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone! Remember, I post new content every day, so subscribe for more juicy tea.